It's 12 o'clock.
We'll say the prayer on page number 10. We'll say in Tibetan 2 times, in English 1 time. In English, page number 11. I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merely creating this practice, may I attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyfulness. May all sentient beings embody equanimity, feel bias, attachment, and anger. Its ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the 4 continents, surrounded by the sun and the moon. It is Buddha-filled and offering. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Yedam Guru Rana
ane tsamala ne ninko dela tasdele shiwa dan ta diri asu karisna ta chunju le niba duba sabeliyo ta di gotsubare ta duba sabeliyo di le tambo dela katsan azu ta sanjiji semji ane payon shaba siyongdi ane sanjiji semde gomba ina ane soso ranyi la ane kimpan kari yawa tosha kari yawa de tanga su nge samba jene ane kari jigu resina ta sanjiji semde soso kanto jene ta lojang chiya re ta tini lojang chiya la ane sanjiji semde gomba la ane ta di ngola kari jigu resina ane 다 소소지정 내지 개침보인바 세상대 류니와라 두바스바세 두바스비야라세 두바스바시온디 거친 드르종와세 텐진 소소바 거치 드르종와세 다 조데 야라덤바 간에 어서 지정서대 아니 류니와 그다 두바스비료나 조데
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. It's very nice to have you here in this afternoon, both the temple and probably online. And so the first chapter of the Bodhisattva's, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. And so in the first chapter, we're talking about the benefits of the spirits of awakening. So from today onwards, we're going to talk about the second chapter, the confession of sin. So before we talk about the second chapter, the confession of sin, I would like to make a quick summary as a or quick reflection as a reminder. So what we have learned so far. In the first chapter of the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, or Bodhicharya Avatara, we essentially learned about what is the bodhicitta and what is the benefits of the practice of bodhicitta, or the understanding and the practicing and the perfections of the bodhicitta. That's the spirits of awakening, or the mind of enlightenment. And so we learned all the benefits by comparison, through the analogy, and through the scripture reference or the scripture authority, by quoting from the literature directly, also through the many metaphors, by comparisons, and by contrast, and so at this point, and we can assume that we know to practice and to perfect the greater the spirits of awakening, the mind of enlightenment, indeed as remarkable the benefits. At the same time, we also spoke about, learned what is the result, or the attainment, a possible attainment, or that we can obtain, right? Or the highest accomplishment that we possibly can achieve through the practice of bodhicitta. And so we have talked that in very briefly. So this means that we not only understand the great benefits of this remarkable practice of Bodhicitta, and we also understand the result of this practice, or the attainment that would be in result by the practice will be produced by the practice of the Bodhicitta, is indeed something that's absolutely superior and transcendent. Okay. So my recommendation and here for you, or the idea I would like to share with you, is that now, so we have a basic understanding about what we're going to do, right? And we understand what the benefits that we're going to receive, and what is the ultimately, and what is the outcome, and or the results that we may achieve. So therefore, now it's up to us to put into the practice. My humble request or recommendation is we got to try as much as hard as possible to advancing or to enhancing, into perfecting, and then this practice of the spirits of awakening. And so now it's up to us how we're going to do the two things. One is learning, and next is practice, right? Because we already introduced, in other words, we walk into the realm of the Bodhisattva's path. So now our task is to continue to learn and continue to perfect what we have learned so far. So from chapter 2, this is the conclusion, quick summary of the first chapter. Now from chapter 2, the compassion or the purification of the scene, what are we going to do is that we try to understand what is the obstacle, the possible obstacle that we needed to overcome, right? Because see, based on the understanding of the first chapter, the contents of the chapter 1, the essence of the first chapter, we know that we have the direction, and we know what's going to happen, and we know the great benefits. So everything's ready for us to put into actual practice to perfect what we have learned. But this perfection, or the goal that we want to achieve, as a designed or as illustrated in this textbook, that the enlightenment itself is a long and the process of the practice. So, and the perfection itself, it has to means needed to facing all kinds of obstacles, right? And so the way to achieve the great perfection of the mind of enlightenment, we have to do two things. One is to collect the merits, and by the means of purifying the obstacles or obstructions. And in other words, we need to collect the merits and to support us. At the same time, we need by all kinds of technique and practice to overcome the possible, all kinds of possible and hindrance or the setbacks. So collecting the merits and purifying the negative thing or the karma is the actual contents of the second chapter. And more specifically, in the chapter 2, author taught us the 7 limbs of the practice. So in other words, the way to achieve this goal of purifying the sin and or overcome the obstacle and collecting the successfully collected the merits it can be achieved by the means of a set of technique called the 7 limbs of the practice.
That any person also Drive Kandachi Chivalaya, Delani, Jitan James at the Sogobiore, Kula, Jichin, Matsobayina, and then Drive Didante, Joya Miati, Ripin Kiore. The end is sunny, Jitan Jen de la, Nielenchi Jitan, Lamji Chi Sene, Niyong Giore, that Loto Tawe, Meto Tawichi Imbayina. 다 년령지 지대 사원대 고 참바이나요 데라 조진이게 산지시진 다 츠르 조롱 츠 단디리게 제망부지 맞춰바이나 어딘디게 달로도기 지베데파 츠트기요 말에 더는 생게 아주 상지지 셈 세게 디 drive chapachen lo di chiwala di ngola ngazu kazama chawana ji jinre meho den chiguni senjeba ina tadi sinje tanche gi chidani ardugani zobis sanchulo mine de ranila tondo gi lo de jane senchita minan tumbi jingama di sosoge nyalen chewa ina ya de nyelen gi jiri Dindi Niling Jude, computer Sony, Tane, Toajimbi Sanji, Singon, Drella, Karigurisina, Delane, Niva the competent you cheat on also, Haji Sichingi, Jude, Soso de Jonsia de, Yalatamba Gune, Jijayadan, and then Soso de Jonsia de, you are to go there. Good Haji Sichin, Jen de Meina, and then Yelinji, Jude, Niva Diane, Compila Lil, Road Kamares more.
So it is a common sense, right? We all know that if you desire any outcome, on any positive or favored outcomes, that desire alone would not produce anything, right? So your desire has to achieve the desire, whatever you desire or the goals you set up. And it's as soon as right after you set the goal or you have a desire to achieve anything, then you have to know that things, events in the world of phenomena, it is quite obvious. It is obvious, and it is also kind of universally true. That is, it has to depend upon the very success. It has to depend on the substantial cause and the secondary or supportive conditions. So substantial cause or essential cause, and plus the secondary supportive conditions is a must present. Otherwise, you just have the seeds, which is the plan or the goal or the aspiration, and would not produce anything. And all remain at the sort of a level of the thinking and wishing, right, and planning. So now, keep this reality, this universal truth in our mind, then we know that our goal, right, is to develop the spirits of awakening, the mind of enlightenment, the bodhicitta. Right? We want to perfect it. So we have the seeds now, right? It's the substantial seeds or substantial causes are present, right? Is ready. Or the support, the substantial cause or essential cause are ready that we have because we already generous. It is assumed. Suppose we have this aspiration, we see the benefits, right, and we know what the ultimately the great outcomes is. So therefore, we're so inspired. We wanted to perfect the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, right? We want to perfect that. So that substantial cause are there, and all the essential causes are present. But just have this substantial cause, essential the cause are not enough. I give you, it has to be to produce the perfect outcome. It must be have the secondary or the supportive conditions present. So this supportive secondary conditions are to give you an example, the relationship between the substantial cause and the supportive conditions. So let me tell you this. Suppose that you will have a flower, right? We plant a flower, and we know the seeds. We have the seeds, right? And just have the seeds, right? Itself, we know that will not able to help us to see the beautiful the flower itself, right? So in order to appreciate and enjoy the beautiful flower, then we have to have the secondary or supportive condition. That is, rich, appropriate dirt or soil, and then we have to have a right amount of sunlight, right? And we have to have the fertilization, right? And we have to have the human and the manual label and to nourish it, to protect it, and so on and so forth. So with this secondary conditions being perfectly present and or provided, then we know the so desired beautiful flower or the blossom of the flower will naturally be produced. So similarly, the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, the spirits of awakening, is the seeds now is planted in our mind. So now we need working on the supportive condition or the secondary conditions, and to make sure the seeds will be properly brought out, or all the way to the final process, the final ending, that is a beautiful blossoming. So we have the supportive conditions in this particular context. One of them is several the techniques. One of the technique is like the 7 point of cause and the effect, or 7 quintessential instructions on cause and effect. The 7 point. There are 7 steps we need to take in. The 7 steps is like you think about you understand the reason and the logical reason, and so you know the essence of your very adoption and or implementation of the 7 the point of a cause effect is aimed to develop perfect the spirits of awakening, and for the benefits of all sentient beings. And so yes, this is how the process, right? How it has to be processed, and that's the training or the practice we're going to adopt. Again, our goal is to improving and developing and to perfect the malevolent and remarkable, the most precious and the great and mind of enlightenment. That's all.
다 원체기 지츠말라당 아니 지총가고 치모 다 그래서이나 양된디기 소소드정데 제랑분나네 아니 가두 참이반용네 데니 란지 토고 제버진 질라치와 된데레 지총가고 치미 다 소소드정이 아니 저 만저 부야당 어딘데 전에 살아배 살그 티들라 처든도 벌다니 만저 부야그 로지 아니 고라 배야당 서차와 딘데 전에 셉그 살아 처든도 벌다니 고라 배야기 딘디게 공개남 토로지나 서차도래 다 디나 생게 법어 도매 더지 임바이나 아니 ane wenbala jizi shamba ngombo zhine lo jini la zhibare lo jini la zhine jizi shamba ngombo she manjane ane tako retangdo wuji chane o dindi jibi kabde la kongi ta jiga zhiba nangsa ki shisoto wala ane chimo jik chi jik ane zikbo di mbug sago o dindi jik hugo ane tongne 다 셀라베 냥지 솔라메 바체네 드네타 부디 로바스 람바이나 아니 부시사레 말랑바이나 치시사레 다 가르치고나 삼내네 공기 소소기 손에 찍다네 지도진네 고 부투 실로도네 치모던 분이살레베 노참이어 딘디기 산냥지 지지용디 다 신이 속에 치모던 차자 매워천네 아니 든지 남칼라 띠용디 지지 상방공부 내선자와 든지 다 생이스다네 다 저런 아니고 야 페소 스니 가다야라 페어 든지 띠 딘지기 마주 디자 토망위고라 소소기 소소드 종기 다 여고지 만남바이나 당아주 지 도바체벌 전세야 다 상지기 세제야 내가 mambo치랑서 소소위 링아의 생기 주바티가 전에 내 마통을 차도래 대인디선에다 마조다위기 딘딘자 마토와다 아니지 선년지 상지 샘대 요구지라 지트 매바티 조대면서 딘디게다 저 소소드 좀 지역에 말로와 뒤한기 나가서 서다반데 되제세.
So what is important to for us to practice this as supportive or secondary conditions, right? By the means of the seven, for example, the 7 quintessential instructions of the cause and effect, or 7 point of cause and effect. So to understand that, we know there's many stories from which we can stories of the ancient masters and the great practitioners through their life story, and we know that to practice the secondary conditions or supportive conditions, secondary conditions such as the 7 quintessential instructions and cause effect and all other technique isn't not necessary, but it has to be accomplished and by making a great effort. To some extent, so a certain reasonable asceticism even is required or is encouraged, because to purify our sin and or overcome the obstacle is not an easy task. Right? Our very goal of accumulation of the merits as the means to support our fundamental, help us to achieve our fundamental goal, that is the perfections of bodhicitta, definitely requires a lot of hard work. Speaking of hard work, in Tibetan tradition alone, we can immediately think of two remarkable masters. One is that of the Tibetan great Tibetan yogi, the Milarepa. So we all probably more or less know the Milarepa's story. And then another great story is about the founder of the Gilu tradition, and Lama Tsongkhapa, or Jirimpoche. So if you read the Jirimpoche, Lama Tsongkhapa's life story, you will see that in order to perfect the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, Jirimpoche Lama Tsongkhapa himself actually made a tremendous effort and experienced quite a hardship. His biography illustrates that in order to accumulate merits, one of the techniques he used is offering the mandala, or Mandala Offering. So what he did is that in order to accomplish this, the Mandala Offering, and as a means to accumulate the merits, and he even by repeating doing the same practice, the same ritual, and he even worn out his the flesh on his hands, right? And so he experienced the difficulties in through that way. And also another simple as the means as like a walking meditation kind of a practice, that is a circumambulation. Okay, making circumambulation around the stupa or the temple, and it's a form of ritual and also the meditation, and the important means to train one's practice. So Jirimpoche, even according to his biography, and not worn out his shoes, but at some point even there's a blood even, because he's constantly walking, make a circumambulation, and then which hurts at his feet, and there was blood on the ground, and left behind him. So this kind of a story tells us that to create a proper, a favorable secondary condition, a supportive condition, as a means to enhance and perfect the bodhicitta is definitely is not an easy task. It requires a great deal of effort. And back to India, this is a Tibetan story. Back to India, in the ancient time, there is a story about a great Indian master, Asanga. So Asanga, who dedicated himself and to the similar practice, the generation of bodhicitta or the perfections of bodhicitta. He dedicated himself practicing remote the area of retreats place for 12 years. And so then he didn't achieve his goal, and then he is about to give up. And then he walked down from the mountain and towards the town or the city. On his way to the crowd or the city, he saw a badly wounded dog. It was eating. The dog was eaten by many wounds. And upon seeing such a horrific scene, of course, the dog is experienced a tremendous suffering. And the Asanga, the master Asanga, was so much moved by his great compassion, the Mahakaruda. And then he decided to help out both the dog and the wounds that is eating and the flesh of the dog. So he find that to be difficult and or going to be hurt if he uses any form of a tool, such as like a stick, right? And to remove the wounds from the dog's body, they could damage or hurt the wounds. But if he leaves it alone, then the dog will continue to experience that horrific pain. So then he decided to use his own town, right, to remove to clean the badly wounded dog. At that point, so when he closed his eye and to clean up or to take the wounds out of the dog's body, as driven by his great genuine altruism of the mind of the great compassion, and instantly the dog and the wounds or that horrible thing is disappeared and magically. So at that point, Asanga looked up at the sky, and where he saw the future Buddha, Maitreya, appeared in front of him. So that's clearly you can tell that why the Maitreya appeared in that very moment. Why not before? So because you have to kind of make such a great effort and be to the point of absolutely genuine, absolutely pure, and authentic. And then you can see such a the sacred or the absolutely transcendent and the moment of having the moment of the transcendent enlightened experience. And so Maitreya appeared and to Asanga, and then took him to the Dushita heaven, and where he taught Asanga further the Dharma. So this story plus the Milarepa and the Lama Tsongkhapa story, all of them show point out one thing, and that is if you wanted to perfect the bodhicitta, the spirits of awakening, you need to make an effort. So otherwise, you will not you won't get anywhere. So in our case, here I'm speaking to myself, and including myself. So we don't have the experiences of this is transcendental sort of a moment of experience or enlightened moment, or very highly spiritual enlightened moments, such as like had a direct vision with the Buddha, or seeing the Buddha and had this direct encounter and had a vivid vision of Buddha, or experienced a deep realization of the shunyata, or the ultimate reality, and we have no another been so inspired by and the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, altruism, or the great compassion and the kindness. All these spiritual qualities, right? We haven't yet, in my case, that haven't yet developed, and that's because the amount of effort, or the levels of effort which I made so far is not the higher enough, or not adequate.
제가 당아서 소소도 종기 다소스 안에 tension 소소당 거리마 안에 주 가진 두바장 땅거리 바다티에 나탄제파 디나 아주다 야라 담바세기 야라 담분 디나라네 만디오지 요마리 데니사네 다 리온요 두바서비 리온 디나라 안에 야라 담바기 군에 다소소 냠슬렌 땅거름바데 지워송기요레 다 디나네 담봉아서 가르스나 추비야라 다 상사와도 초정스와도 지세를 그 상사와요 단자적으로 야라도 뭐요 디나네 상사와도 초장세기 다 초비야라 어디송기요레 다디 담보들라네 초밥이 기와까지 송기요레 렌친 센데 좀와 서비스 대전 소바나 담비지 군조 점마메당 상지세 용다 장초나라 허벌 초세기 솔로건디기 가르송기요르스나 초밥이 기와디 초밥이 기와디 가르세용다소 렌친 센데 좀와 서비스 성리 상지지 센데지라 지역의 치단에 아주 초밥부거래세 초밥이 기동조디 오다 소소안에 상주지 셈대지라 지역이 지단이 조합부기로스 되게 가르스나 대 삼비처벌 등기월 삼바타바 다바선스근도 삼바타바스야기 대 조합부원지가라 안에 다즈 진지치 잔드 포마 인발 상지지 센지라 지역의 치단이 딘지가 무바치 존의 부원이 안에 삼바타바스 대전 서바는 더 담비지 권조 주마메당 상지세 용다장 초나라 벌초세용디 다 상다바디 거래세나 타르드거니 전에 권조스 모데 거래세나 대전 서바는 당스 오다 디숨제네 상지난당 안에 담비지 권조 주마메당 승리 다 치권초 주마메베 치권초 안에 고대당 란지덴바 오 타르드거 띠니 다네 상지세 성다소네 상지셈바 오다 상지셈바 사토보라 네베네 상지셈바도 다소 가레세나 용다장 초나라 생다소 다디 용다 타요 동담비 아니고 다 전에 공적스 못데라 아니고 로벌 초성디 상토바디 전에 공적스 못데 가르스나 아주 상토바리스 소소기 초소비 상 다바지서기 상 어디가스나 상차바로 상 넘버 다바지 보기요 데 저당기 할로스도자 된지 마인바 니마동다와 준상 다 된지라 상차와 된지 마인바 소소텔라네 다바지에나 이치지에나 디그 디나양 라니 소아메 바네고 타와다 던지베 공방을 츠니와 딘지기 다 전에 지라 상도 봐 스키오리 어더니 다 러버 초세 러버 세그 측내나 가용 것이나 다 내부터 봐세 내부터 봐 지도 봐 다들 가운데 와서 저바 부야 지지 거로 뒤에고 더바디 송요래 신디카스 더바 신지고네 아니 다 저바 부 기와디 송요래
So now let's go to the copy of the translation. The page 23, chapter 2, the compassion of sin. In order to adopt that jewel of the mind, I make offerings to the Tathagatas, to the stainless jewels of the sublime Dharma, and to the children of the Buddhas, who are oceans of excellent qualities. So we know that the 7 limbs of practice, right, are involved with the make offering and then prostration and confession and rejoicing and requesting the eternal will of the Dharma and dedication. So the supportive condition, the way to create a supportive condition or prepare the secondary condition as a necessary means to ensure your practice of the perfection of the bodhicitta is successful, and so you have to know those 7 limbs of the accumulation of the merits. Within these 7 limbs of or 7 different the practices, the ritual and or ritualistic or the spiritual means, the techniques of the Dharma practice, and one can achieve one's goal of the creation or the accumulation of achievement of the creation of a secondary condition or supportive condition. Accumulation of merits and the purifying the negativities or remove the obstacles, obstructions are the essence of the technique or the goal of the technique. So then we need to ask the question, right? What is the obstacles and how to remove those obstacles? The way to remove the obstacles, they achieve the accumulation of the merits. So there's those 7 ritualistic, but and Dharma practice has to be fulfilled, or has to be perfectly accomplished. So in this second chapter, the confession of sin, we're going to learn those 7 limbs of the practice and step by step with a great detail. Right. The first thing, the first limbs of the practice, like we just read, is about make an offering. Right? Make an offering is the first item of the 7 limbs of the practice. So why you need to make an offering, right? And so how you make an offering? We know that to make an offering is bring your you have to make an offering as the expression of your as the expression of your devotion and your dedication and your conviction, right, of the Bodhisattva, the spirits of awakening. So make offering doesn't mean and just put something in front of the altar or in front of the Buddha's statue, right? And make it look nice and fancy and expensive, even kind of artistically looks very appealing. That's not the purpose of the make offering to the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha. So the right way to make an offering, or the appropriate way to make an offering, has to be achieved or carried out by achieving the three purified field, technically called the three pure field. Let me explain what are those three pure fields and how they relate to make offering as a means to accumulate the merits. In other words, to create the secondary conditions. So the first pure field is the mind of the pure field. The mind of the pure field here is referred to. You must carry out this action of make offering to the Buddha, such as flower or any material objects or goods, and place them in front of the altar or bring to the temple, whatever, right? And so, or give to the spiritual communities, the Sangha members, or whatever. So the very mind or intention of your action of the giving, and that's the offering here, and it has to be pure, sincere, and stainless. And then the second pure is the pure of the field itself, the pure of the field, or pure field. Pure intention is the first purity. Let's say the purity of the intention. That's number one, right? Refer to the intention has to be pure. The second purity is the purity of the field, of the object. So the object of the field has to be pure. That's very important, because here you not randomly take some valuable or any good has a good quality, and they randomly place somewhere or give it to someone or give it to the wrong objects. So the offering must be made to the Buddha. That's including the Buddha's past, present, and future in your mind. Your goal, right? The objects, and you're going to bring the offerings, the object, the offering to that very the field you're going to offer. You're going to give it to, make offering, and it is a Buddha, and are Buddhas. And then the second is the Dharma. Dharma here, it means the path of the cessation and the path of the truth of the cessation. Or you can say the state of the区别古代的中国话，
我听到
新的话能力 去果登的去行这个这个这果登呢，在跟这个果登到南边那个从说呢，果登的了，感觉结果人家就当真咱们这就可能到先对吧？
다 고덴텔라네 다 뇨모와다 아니 히시드비 주바 타도 pombe 네 상지 이지케 주바 타도 pombe pom바데 아니 사도베 상지 셈바이나 고랑 소소런 그 니케키 주바디 당테 pombe pom바들 셔고와 다 란덴세테 땡네서 톱시게네 다 시라데와
오래 원래 그래서 이 신다바는 그 신다바는 저 비가거든
네 더바디 더바네 전에 군조스보데 안에 더바는 선생님이 잡더바 상더바 안에
이거도
소소라니 주바 가갈로 더바 마세 드잘라 티나야 네고 소음이 비차네 안에 상더바
Okay. So the purity of the field we talked about. First is Buddha, the Buddha of the three time, past, the present, the future, and then the Dharma. That's the second item of the purity, the purity of the field. And here Dharma they refer to means the truth of the cessation. Or truth of the negation, you can say, right? Truth of the negation or truth of the cessation, and in either way, and that refer to the enlightened mind of the Buddha, or whoever has already abandoned the defilements and the ignorance, and have developed arrived at the states where all defilements and or the karmas whatsoever will not affect him or her at all. So that the state of liberation, the state of cessation, cease, or separation, separate from the confusions, or abandonment, right? Abandonment of the defilement is the essence of the truth, or the truth of the cessation, or truth of the negation. And then the second content of the field of Dharma, the pure field, and the purity of the field as a Dharma is the path of the truth of the path. Truth of the path is the wisdom, and with the wisdom which understands the actuality, the wisdom that manifested or reflected directly seen what the things and the events, what they really are. So your offering, the offering you're going to make, right? Other than Buddha, when you make offering to the Dharma, you need to reflect upon or direct your the good, whatever the good you have to the Dharma. You need to think about this the cessation, the truth of the cessation, or the truth of the negation, and then the truth of the path, and then another the field of purity. That is the third jewel, the jewel of the other than sublime Dharma, and the stainless Tathagatas, is the children of the Buddha. The children of the Buddha is Bodhisattvas. So you need to, when you make offering, you need to think about it. This offering is directed to a special field of purity, right? And that is all the beings who are Bodhisattva, the old one
It's
is
1 o'clock.
everyone that you make offering. The very offering you're directing to is not an ordinary being, but they are the children of Buddha, they are Bodhisattvas, right? And we do need to think about it, when you make an offering to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, but not others. That is because if you take your offering, the object's offering, it could be food, flower, money, whatever, and if you do give it to the wrong, put in the wrong field or to the wrong objects, such as like let's say worldly god, or a semi-god or demigod, and or something like the nagas, and or some of the local spirits, and or powerful monsters or demons, and that kind of the being. If you take them, right, and give the offering to them, and because they are not enlightened being, although they are powerful to some extent, and they do have this ability or power which has surpassed you. However, since they are the wrong field, they are the impure field of offering. So therefore, as part of the first item of the 7 limbs of practice, we are not supposed to make an offering, and not just to the the god, the goddesses, and the worldly god or goddess, and other spirits. Even in some religion, they make offering to the sun and to moon and other planets, and that's also in this particular practice is rejectable. You're not supposed to make offering to those things, but rather those objects. Rather, you need to merely focus on the object. Consider the only qualified, the pure field of the object or offering, which is Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So that's the second purity of the field. The thirdly, the last purity of the field is the purity of the objects. The purity of the objects here referred to the substance, right? And the objects you're going to take, right? Any form of the material goods and things that you're going to take to make offering has to be pure. That is, let me jump out and say one more. The nibu takpa dina ni nangdung, ni ranga zizi mo gala.
Nibu takpa dina su, tandi lakbar cho se jindo. Lakbar cho se lakba se dina, tanga su nibu takpa di yongi wale. Di karisina, tang nibu takpa se nibu se di choji ro, chobi zi. Also puya ke chobi zi dire. 다 주비 지대 다바성디 간데스다 고랑 지대 용콩데 주비 지대 용콩 그 지친데 거니 요와네 용콩 안에 자마지고요. 안에 저 조바 부지강라 안에 조바디 고랑야 저 자마진의 부고요. 어디 단다 다간데 고랑 용콩디 가르치기 어렸으나 초비지 소마스야데 로초그 군에 주바 많이 봐. 네, 로초가 세지원 가서 다 내정도 저 지치당 가서 당 드네 고 소롱 당 토진자와 당이 베니 바스네 로초가 시기와 다더니 로초기 다스나 마스나 젠라지 고고 고요지네 아니 고지 반조 들지야로 자전선에 원조 정기 그마진의 왕조 다 딘지 주게 론초의 주츠 양타바 마임비 론초 토바이나 다 딘지기 론초 때네 산지로 초바 부이나 the Rongomare said the Chile.
Mhm.
The ne also Lotsu Jaba Mayimba, Dubi Jaba Mayimba said. Dubi Jaba Mayimba Sioni, Yadachirangi, Soja Bala Tene, Sinjiki Sojane, and it Digi Sojanuga, Tachi, the Digi Latin Jombi, Loncholas, what the zoo. Or that the zoo rito, the league Japan, Lonchozo, Yarane, Consola Puna, ne Rongomare Sore. Ta,
Also,
the Netanda Karigo Zataku Jute, and Majaji Jiva Mayimba Sergi. Tachuba Pujigala Kurangi, Jutila, Sambi Chapa Karibu Wersna, or Tangitanabe, Chobayo Pusuchi Puson, Sani Sosuchi, Margento, or the Shochina Tinkamarays. And Monchi Shiba Mayimbas, Jala Wombichit, or that ne Choba de Petan, Zoshu Chosani, Mishanga Teratape, Yajoshu Sade Seg, the new Sano Kena, Yang Jite Matoba Chakiore. Then Senagi for Mayimba, Choba Puicatelane, Senachining Maris, so Senachis the poor Yena, Yanti, Rongomare Segata, as a GT Kantayan, Jitabasang Dazo. Puvi zi tabatila korangi jute teni tabayambachi ane choba korangi mo chane samayango ni ane choba puvi zena ane goba lakpa asiyage lakpa tong lakpa cho siyage lak siyate goba lakpa asiyage goba lakpa di choba ji puji gangla choba di pe thoma mambo yoga teni mayimba kashi tongbo kashi mao teni mayimba ya pa yocho pa cho tsurcho jine ane go rupano teni mayimba 고반 제어를 삼바시용디 고타다 타다 여부치 주요와 어디리 지구에 선발해야 돼.
oh yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the purity of the objects, the things, goods that you're going to take it, make and take a buy or take it and used as objects to offer to the Buddha Dharma Sangha. That's the object of the offering. Right? So the purity of the objects, the things, goods that you're going to make offering has to be free from the several things. Number one is that the very goods you're going to make offering and has to be free from what we call the 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. Okay? So meaning that when you take the goods, you have to try free from the not being sort of hypocrisy, right? Not being flattery, and not being soliciting and expropriating and calculated generosity. Okay, calculated generosity. So those are 5 things that you need to make sure that you're involved. Your offering of objects is free from those 5 negative things, right? So the things which you purchased or you're going to take and use as object offering has to be pure and is free from the sin. And a classical example is that, for example, you cannot kill anyone, such like animal. You cannot do that to animal sacrifice, meaning that take someone's animal's life and then make offering of the meat, take the meat as offering, object of offering to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. That is not allowed, right? And then the things which you purchased or you're going to take it to give to the temple or put it in front of the Buddha's statue or in front of the altar or give it to the Sangha, the spiritual community. must free from the thing which you purchased or you brought to the temple has to be something that's you really own it, okay? And that's the result of you received it as the result of your hard work. Okay? It is not you lied to somebody or you deceived someone. You concealed some the truth, and you confused someone, and then you lie to the whoever the owner of the object or the goods, and then you take it to make an offering and to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, or give to anyone. That is not allowed. That's considered to be a very negative thing. And then when you make offering, you also the way to achieve the purity of the material, the object material of offering, also is you should not take the self pride or being arrogant. That literally is you should not make this offering with any is totally free from the arrogance, being arrogant or arrogancy. Kind of, so proud, and you are someone else. You're doing something is very special, and so you are kind of take it as you are very superior and doing something above all. So that attitude has to be abandoned. Otherwise, the object of offering you're making will not be considered pure. And then another item, the thing we need to remember is when you make offering, you must check your exam. Right? Suppose you have the object of offering in your hands. Before you make it, you have to know you do that very thing not to show off, not to prove, not to gain somebody's approval or impress others. Right? And your attitude must be merely purely as an expression of your dedication, your devotion, and your deep appreciation of the Bodhisattva. And then another thing is when you make offering, you make sure is you are affordable. The thing which you brought you give it to somebody, you donate to, right? Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and it has to be affordable and free from the what you call the stingy or the fixed hands, right? In other words, the miserliness. You must free your mind from the miserliness, and then make the offering. If you make an offering, has the influence under the influence of a miserliness or being stingy, then that will make the object the offering not pure or free, being pure. And then lastly, when you make the offering, the time and when you make the offering, and you also must think about and the way you bring to suppose make the offering in front of the altar, in front of the Buddha statue, and make sure the object, the things which you put in front of the Buddha statue or the altar is disciplined. Displayed in a very proper order, very beautifully, and a very glorious sort of looking, and has to be artistically and very beautiful, presentable, and also it has to be clean. So like you need to clean your hands, right? And the altar where the place you place the object offering, that itself has to be cleaned and in advance, and then your hands is clean, and then so the way you present yourself also, and in a clean and in the proper manner. So all this has to be considered, and you have to bring yourself in place, and then that will make your offering of the practice as the first practice of the 7 limbs is perfect. So that's why in text here says, who are the ocean of, in order to adopt the jewels of the mind, I make offering to the Tathagata, the stainless of jewels of the sublime Dharma, and to children of Buddha, who are ocean of excellent policy. Yeah. Okay, the
전부터 단다 질러 용어래요. 다티 세컨디 말 드마고지 다 소를 선수드네. 다나와서 초박이 로버 초시 초박이 안에 지대 다바지 고르성디 드비 드바 많이 봤어지. 단데 들리 지워라 때네 좀왜 지지도 조안에 상지가 부다 건설로 푸는 그 말에 세티 저당아서 단 지팅기 저와 간의 지면은 거랑 들리 지다 망부지 용기 와래 이나 다디 품으로 와서 때네 이사말에 건설라 저바 부야기 치다네 다시 전기 들리 지야도 소자바도 오다 dindirite controla pugosi ti chita ne ko jiage dindirite purongo mare sege o baji te mada chobi jiji wara chobi ji taba se de dinazo dibi juba mai ba se tande te wa dibi juba mai ba se diba jiwala tene sombe ngeji purongo mare se de 초바 부야가 치더니 두바지 제서바더니 그 말에 초바 부야 건설라 부야가 치더 아니 전지 소주 발라서 거네 그 딜리 집이 아니다 조제도 주야라 푸나는 거 말에서 어디서래
Let me make one point a bit clear. Is when you make an offering and the objects of the offering, the goods you're going to make, has to be free from the negative karma or the actions of crime. So when we say you're not supposed to make any offering, and in result, the actions of criminal or crime or the non-virtuous action. Right? So the one thing we need to remember is that your motivation, okay, there is a thing which probably is involved with some kind of non-virtuous elements, right? But you purchased, right, with a pure intention, that 지금 그 치아의 소견에 대해 kontrola 표현된 선지 잡는 표현된 리코멘드다 데일리다 이 코나디 차버서 차모시도 이 잠바티 쓰는 거거든 지금 초가도 말해서 이 살아봤어
맞아 저당기 다지 들리지야 다 들리게 지 반절라서 kontrola 안에 초가 표현이 연구하러
근데 심각하게 무슨 이 주류 조연하고 들리나?
어떻게 연구하러 어떻게 연구하래 이나고 부인세가 건설라 부야게 치더니 다 들린도지 들리지와이나 되는 거 말했대 소리.
Also. Yeah, so the subtle difference, the point here is that there are certain objects such as like grain or rice, right? Or maybe vegetables and flowers. We make offering that is in a narrow sense that is involved with non-virtuous action, because there are certain involved certain damages or harms involved, and but it doesn't mean that you are not the one who engage in such action. It's being produced and on the market is available, so you can purchase it with a pure intention, and then you can make offerings. That kind of things is permissible, right? And what is not impermissible, is not allowed, is that you knew that going to involve some harm, damaging, or even killing, but you thought that I'm going to do this because I'm going to make offering to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Then that very action is absolutely rejectable. It's not allowed. Okay, even you want to make offering to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and but if you knew that is going to harm, hurts others, or damaging others, and then even you want to make offering to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and because it involved directly involved the harm, involved the damages of others' life, so therefore it is rejectable. So this is you see there's a subtle differences here. That's all.
다음에 찬전하네 구슬로 대항되나 지 사가 맞춰가지고 어떤데요나 지 같지나.
That's all. And let's end today's discussion here. And before we set the dedication, and so do you have any questions, or would you like me clarify and any points and which sounds confusing, or do you have any comments you would like to make? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Many thanks to Gaisha Gyatso for a wonderful teaching. The question I have, it's kind of a smallish question. It's a small question, but I was just wondering if I could have some help with this. So when we're thinking about the substantial cause and the supportive conditions, I was wondering if the supportive conditions can be thought of as both ensuring that we have the proper spiritual and mental supportive conditions, and also maybe the material and external world supportive conditions. I ask that because the example that was given to us about the flower, the seed being the supportive, the seed being the substantial cause, and the fertile soil and the sunlight being the supportive conditions, is more of an external world or material supportive conditions. But when we're talking about ensuring that we have the supportive conditions for the awakening mind, we seem to be talking about ensuring that we have the proper spiritual and mental supportive conditions to support our practice. So I'm wondering if there are these two different classes or kinds of supportive conditions that we need to be thinking about, both those conditions for the spiritual and mental, maybe internal to ourselves, and the external world. Thank you.
Okay. All right. 거기 저한테 저 추천을 마시려나 슈샤나 내 세월 주용으로서 디슈베나 공원에 제게니 참 시스템이 제발라 양과 같이 지어라 그 주당 젠디가 참고레스 이 갑텔라니 주디다 샴치섬 권랑제 아니 이 젠디라 맞아 이 가수레 이게 젠디라 젠몽부시 아니 손나송스 소소 다 주장지하게 아니 얘는 또 카사우치 용해 당당히 쉬나 아니 치게 젠딜라 다시 선비 뭐 이러와 저기 주디게 사본 것처럼 제게 니 이 잡술라니 메토드 베샤송스 네 당고 디지나 세 잡술라니 어 디추추디 니 배우고 손나고도 아니 데다 투지만 보시겠어 Jadi, kita metok lebih jani metok sabun tahun ini sudah luar jual atau apa jadi ini sabun koran sabi jus nada di jus aja, anda luar sudah jadi sabun tahun sashin langsung ada ini macam tumbi jalan, jalan harus soalnya. Jadi ini sama nama juga kita lama diisinya dalam jenis zoom kita sebagai ini jadi nyaman pada wo. Anda juga ada cik jenama jalan bekerja berkemarin. Di masa tadi di cik jenga nama sosok di cik jenga kesanjusan gua ada jenjur wa. Jadi yang cik jenga nama ini benar metode coba kerja wina, ko metode ini di langsung kita yosi nada jadi ngizi nada itu sama di cik jenga nama ini cik jenga nangjen zikir nangjen di ini kita meditasi amari jendi cikdi ber juga cikdi jendeng kanza dan lama disinya nama meditasi itu sah ani minggu ini cikdi nala medo tangji coba zina atau meditasi jalan itu diparis
tanda de ta shi jendang nang ge jende song li 다 상주지 심지라 아니 시진 담할 산지시 진기 진대 몸부지 초고에서 여기 진대라 시진대라 비비신이 연구요래 그래서 상주 선바도 저기 소소지게 안에 단다 담이 도비 다와디 안에 다주 nangi yongzen sine ane ko tartiga ane sanjiwala nang jolambati sanjiwala nangi yongzen skiore kongla ane shi tongkengi lanjiramba tongkengi giyi shinin tuzo nge shi yongzen skiore tartina dindigi shangsende sanjiwala kurangi shi yongzen tang nangi yongzen siyongdi shi jen tang nangi jen nichalo yongdiore tawa nangsingi azo 상지지 셈 제발아요 디게는 고 다 기신이 다들 가려놓고 시청나 루기어레 세티인 동부들라 근데 스마트 카르사 전다티 고마서
메토다 초지라서 봐요 내부 대해서 저기 초소 저기 니iten가 나가는 게
알레 틴주근주기 다때 오늘 단당아서 메토다 틴지 디게나 주고티 단다 오늘 진에 용거래 라서
yeah. Okay. So thank you for your question. Let's say essentially, yes, what you the way you interpret it, your interpretation, the way how you interpreted the comments I made is right, is correct. We just want to reach that, hit that point yet. We're going to comment and the following time, the time, yes, the verses. So anyway, and when you think about the external conditions, we have to know that there is a cause, right? A primary cause and the secondary conditions, right? And in fact, there is also another thing is called the cooperative condition. Right? The cooperative condition or cooperating and or cooperative, yes. It is, yes, let's say cooperative conditions. And within that cooperative conditions, the mentor, such as your spiritual teacher, friend, spiritual friends, definitely is there. And in fact, if we would cover this. So we are good. There are two concepts, and we're going to learn. That is called in Tibet called Yongzin. So Yongzin is some translation like a tutor, and but the literal translation is that which holding all. Okay, that one. One who holds all, you can say Yongzin, or that which hold everything, hold all. What this means is that is referred to two forms of spiritual important, the key spiritual personals. One is called the internal Yongzin, or internal one who holds all. That's in the context of 5 parts, right? In the Bodhisattva 5 parts. The first part is the part of collection, and the second part is the part of preparation, and part of sin, and part of meditation, and part of normal learning. So in the context second part of preparation, whoever who has the Bodhisattva who has achieved this point of the second, right, path, the path of preparation, and that person is referred to as the internal, the one who holds all, right? That is so referred to the practitioner himself. But here is what is relevant to your question. Your teacher, right, or your spiritual mentor, someone who directly teaches you how to realize, or how to have the direct realization of the emptiness, right, or the selflessness of person, or selflessness of phenomena. That very person is called a non-Yongzin, means the Shi-Yongzin, sorry. The external one, the one who holds all externally. The one who holds all for you externally, or you can say that which hold all externally. This very term is used to point out the importance of your spiritual teacher, and particularly the one who teach you how to realize obtain the realizations of the ultimate reality. So the second part of about the flowers and the other material goods, in terms of whether they can be considered as the supportive condition, and the answer is yes. We're going to read that in the coming weeks, coming in the classes.
Yeah.
或者要弄了觉得第一个主要就是对，要不要呢？ I saw there was the gentleman behind and in the white shirts. I think did you raise your hands next to the door? Did you raise the hands earlier? Oh,
no one.
No one.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay. We'll say the closing prayer. On page number 80. Oh, sorry, 88.
为功德别为修，
康瑞
热为果为善根子，万大的瓦那里中为内，这日是我当自讲作业，下辈子的我都等着去。
张波
把我这代真巴当，更多上波的样的身体，对他更接接受他路上，给我的他当接着头，对上小别叫我当姐姐，我刚来就得马哈的。大概给月早晚的工作，上报就是了的偶尔人，
天地中年
担保担上街，担子接我担着更更重，历届用了的件装备，上街担保他都解决住。跟着家娃总高位，他叫谁人的人在别的，因为我别了上的人，感觉这样的我自己。可以